Archie Bunker moves through life convinced that he understands the rules of the world. But during this stretch of time, the universe seems determined to ambush him at every turn. What begins as an ordinary cab ride becomes the first domino in a series of events that force him to reckon with everything he thinks he knows about heroism, gender, family, work, and himself. The cab ride starts out like any other Archie, complaining, the city buzzing, but suddenly a fellow passenger collapses across the seat, unconscious and frighteningly still. The driver panics, bystanders freeze, and Archie, who loudly insists he wants nothing to do with anyone else's problems, becomes the only person capable of acting. Muttering protests, even as he does it, he performs mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, pumping life back into a stranger, because, beneath the crust of prejudice and bravado, he cannot watch someone die in front of him. The ambulance arrives, the victim is taken away, and Archie bolts back to the neighborhood bar, determined to retell the incident in a way that preserves his dignity. At the bar, Archie becomes his own narrator, embellishing and editing the story so that he appears reluctant but noble. His friends, while impressed, treat the entire moment with the casual humor of working-class camaraderie. They offer him free drinks, but only up to 2, because nothing heroic should get in the way of keeping the bar open. A reporter appears, sniffing out a feel-good story for a local human interest column. The moment Archie hears there is a cash prize attached to being Citizen of the Week, he stops pretending modesty and leans into the attention. In Archie's mind, heroism is bearable only when it comes with tangible reward. He crafts the version of events he wants printed, holding tightly to the only narrative that still feels comfortable. But his script falls apart when Beverly LaSalle, the person whose life he saved, walks into the bar. Elegant, poised, and unapologetically herself, she approaches Archie with gratitude, affection, and a confidence that overwhelms his carefully rehearsed story. She is not simply the lady in distress he imagined. She is a performer, glamorous and theatrical, someone who lives boldly and without apology. When Edith later invites her to the bunker home, Beverly calmly explains that she is a performer who was born male and presents female on stage and often in daily life. Her revelation forces the entire family to confront realities they have never talked about. Edith responds with pure, instinctive kindness, confused at moments, but always gentle. Archie reacts with the emotional equivalent of a short circuit. His prejudices and self-image collide, and he is left in a kind of comic paralysis. Archie's confusion exposes a deeper truth. When stripped of labels, he saved a human being. The simplicity of that act stands in stark contrast to the complexity he tries to build around it. Beverly's presence becomes a mirror, reflecting back the parts of himself Archie would rather not see: his contradictions, his fears, his capacity for compassion, and the limits of his worldview. Through her warmth and dignity, she becomes both a catalyst for growth and an unexpected threat to Archie's sense of control. Yet as Archie grapples with the outside world challenging his identity, a far more intimate upheaval unfolds under his own roof. Gloria, his daughter, learns she is pregnant, and what should be a moment of pure joy instead unravels into fear, confusion, and panic. Michael, her husband, reacts not with celebration but with intellectual dread. Obsessed with global issues like overpopulation, ecological collapse, and energy scarcity, he responds to the pregnancy as an ethical dilemma rather than a human experience. Gloria hears his arguments, not as thoughtful concerns, but as rejection. Rejection of her, of their marriage, of the baby. The person she thought she knew becomes suddenly distant, all head and no heart. Overwhelmed, Gloria seeks advice from Irene, a neighbor whose calm, thoughtful presence acts as a counterpoint to the chaos in her own home. Irene listens without judgment, acknowledging the extremely personal nature of bringing a child into the world. She reminds Gloria that no one can make the decision for her, not her husband, not her parents, not society. Gloria's turmoil sharpens as she confronts the possibility that she may have to consider this choice alone. The emotional stakes rise when Edith enters the discussion. Though she supports women's rights in theory, the thought of her daughter ending a pregnancy awakens something deeply maternal in her. She admits, with trembling honesty, that while arguments on television are easy to agree with, the reality of her own daughter's unborn child makes every idea suddenly complicated. Edith's heart leads. even when her mind is uncertain. As mother and daughter talk, Gloria's fear boils over. She worries Michael may never fully accept the pregnancy, that she will bring a child into a fractured household, that becoming a mother means losing herself. When Archie walks in on the scene, he initially reacts with impatience, too many emotions, too much noise, and not enough clarity. But when Edith urges him to listen, something in him softens. He begins recounting memories he has never shared, stories of walking Gloria to school, of watching her from half a block away because she was too scared to go alone, of stumbling over trash cans because he couldn't take his eyes off her. He describes seeing her in the hospital nursery for the first time, recognizing her instantly among all the newborns and believing she smiled at him. These stories, rough and simple, become the emotional spine of the moment. Archie is not always gentle, not always wise, but the love he carries for his daughter is real and raw, a truth he expresses in the only language he knows: nostalgia and stubborn affection. Meanwhile, Michael wanders the streets, wrestling with fears he barely understands. He imagines himself failing as a father, losing his academic dreams, letting the world down by contributing to its population. His anxiety becomes a kind of paralysis. When he returns home, the living room is charged with expectation. Gloria demands honesty. If Michael wants a future with her, he must speak truthfully. Stripped of his intellectual armor, he finally admits what has been buried under fear. He wants the baby. He loves Gloria, and he is terrified not because he does not want to be a father, but because a responsibility overwhelms him. This confession shifts the atmosphere instantly. Edith glows with relief, envisioning herself as a grandmother at long last, while Archie mutters and grumbles but clearly approves. The tension that threatened to split the family loosens, replaced by something fragile but hopeful. Yet even as the bunkers navigate pregnancy, identity, and emotion, another battle brews in Archie's world, one connected to work, pride, and the shifting landscape of gender roles. A foreman position at his workplace is opening up, and Archie is convinced the job belongs to him. In his mind, seniority and loyalty guarantee advancement. But whispers reach him. Management might be considering a woman, possibly his own neighbor Irene, for the role. For Archie, this feels like a personal attack on the natural order. At dinner, he launches into colorful monologues about cave women, domesticity, and the supposed biological destiny of women to remain in the home. His arguments are outdated, comical, and deeply insecure. Michael challenges him with logic, but Archie refuses logic when panic is involved. It is not just that Irene might get the job, it is that the world seems to be reshaping itself without Archie's permission. As they bicker, Archie's longtime co-worker Elmo unexpectedly arrives. In 20 years of friendship, he has never once visited Archie's home. His appearance is both comical and significant, a crack in the rigid boundaries of Archie's world. Elmo brings news that the boss is launching a charity initiative and hints that volunteering early might earn someone favor for the promotion. For Archie, this becomes a strategic mission. Outgive everyone else, curry favor, protect his place in the hierarchy. The idea that he must now compete not only with men but with women, and that he must prove loyalty through charity rather than hard labor, reveals how deeply threatened he feels. As all these threads weave together, a portrait forms of a man standing in the middle of a cultural earthquake. Archie wants to believe the world can stay the way he remembers it, but Beverly shows him identity is wider than he imagines. Gloria's pregnancy shows him the next generation will make choices he cannot control. Michael's crisis shows that intellect is useless without empathy. And Irene's possible promotion shows that the workplace he once dominated is evolving without asking for his approval. Through it all, Edith remains the steady, compassionate center, offering tea to guests, comforting her daughter, nudging Archie toward decency even when he resists. By the end of this sequence in Archie's life, nothing is neatly resolved, but something has shifted. The family still argues, laughs, cries, and stumbles forward together. Archie is still stubborn, still prejudiced, still loud, but he has been pushed, pulled, and nudged by circumstances into revealing the heart he tries so hard to hide. Beverly's gratitude shows he is capable of humanity beyond his biases. Gloria's need shows he can still be a father who steps up when it matters. Michael's confession shows that fear can transform into love when honesty enters the room. And the looming promotion at work shows that the world will keep changing whether Archie welcomes it or not. The final impression is not one of resolution, but of evolution. Life keeps coming unexpected strangers, unexpected pregnancies, unexpected threats to job security, and the bunkers move through it all messily, imperfectly, and with a surprising amount of love hidden beneath the noise. In that chaotic blend of humor and conflict, the story reveals not only who they are, but who they might become if they keep allowing life to push them out of the narrow boxes they have built.